PARSHA Mishpatim. Plenty of things to speak about. I want to speak about one lav here, which the Chinuch here has a very interesting way of looking at this lav. I'd like to share it. The lav is a famous lav that says a pasuk, "Basa basad treifa lo yisachelu." Basa basad treifa, an animal that's a treifa, lo yisachelu. You're not allowed to eat it. The kelef hashlichon oisai, you send it to the dogs. Now the lav of achila of lechem and a treifa, to eat from a treifa, Pashas, you read the pasuk, it means you're not allowed to eat an animal that was nitraf. Nitraf means it was attacked and killed. But we know it's not true. It's not what the pasuk is talking about. Because there's a different pasuk that says you need shchita. Before you eat an animal, you have to shech the animal. So if the animal was nitraf and it was killed by a different animal, it's pasuk you can't eat it because you have to do shchita anyway. So the pasuk here is talking about that it wasn't killed. The pasuk is talking about it was nitraf, meaning it was attacked and it was damaged to a way that it can't live for a long period of time. And the Gemara says it can't live more than 12 months. So an animal that has in it a treifa, that it can't live for more than 12 months, and you went ahead and you shechted it afterwards, you shechted the animal, you can't eat the animal. Even though the shechita is okay, it doesn't make a difference. You're not allowed to eat the animal. That's called a treifa. It's not a nevela. There's two separate things. Something called a nevela. A nevela is an animal that died without shechita. That's one issue. And there's an issue treifa. That animal was shechted. It was killed through a shechita, but it wasn't going to live long because it has in it a treifas.
You can have a benefit from it. You don't have to give it to the
right. Talas b'hano. It's mutar b'hano. Treifas mutar b'hano. You're allowed to give it to a guy. That's what we do today. You're allowed to. That's what we do today. In all the Schlachthäuser.
That's what he did.
He's a shofar.
Not a lot. You know what? That's only 5% of the shit that come out, right?
Yeah. How much?
75.
Okay, so that's something we spoke about once. We'll get to that in a second.
Since you left the
majority. So that's called shreifis today. The what we do is we check the animals, and an animal we find the shreifa, we just give it to the goyim, and we don't use it. Now, what the shreifis are, an animal that has a machla, it's sick, let's say it's going to die soon. Not everything that's an animal is going to die from has a din of treifis min hatayim. There's Yudches treifis and one chulin, Perik and Eila treifis goes through what's called a treifa midaraisa and what's not. But the today, we don't check the animals for all the simone treifis. You don't have to, there's more lists, a whole thing of different types of treifis. The animal has a chazaka that it's not a treifa. If it's living, we assume it's not a treifa. The only thing we check for today, when you check an animal, is basically, they check the stomach a little bit. The main thing they check is the lungs. And the lungs, if it has a hole in the lung, it's a treifa. So there's something called, I don't want to go into Baruch this, but we'll go to Rabbi Kitzer, something called a sircha. A sircha on the lungs means that the lungs, if it has a hole in it, so some liquid comes out of it, and it ends up sticking to the wall of the animal. That little mucus that comes out ends up attaching the lung to the wall of the animal. And then so the water goes through a sircha, if you have that mucus coming out of the lung and it's attaching to the wall of the animal, if it's a thick mucus, then you know it was a real hole, and then it's a treifa. If it's a very thin mucus attaching it, to lavdafka there's a hole, it could be it seeps through the wall of the lungs and ends up attaching itself to the wall of the animal. That's called the sircha. Sircha is when the lung is attached to the wall of the animal.
And the way you check it is by putting
so we have to wait how you check it. Now today, come on, every single animal has a sircha. Has some type of sircha. Is that correct? Come on, if I'm saying anything that's not true, please let me know.
Has a sircha.
Has a sircha. That means it has this attachment. It's attachment. It's a little mucus that comes out of the lungs, attached to the wall. It's called a sircha. Sircha means attachment. It's attached. That's called a sircha. So, come on, every animal today has some type of sircha. But if it's a thin one, we'll make them. Now, when they say glat beis yosef, they say that beis yosef was very machmir on sirchas. What?
1 to 100.
He didn't let it. What, to have Glat B'Sheisef?
1 to 100.
Is what?
From each 100 ratio, 1 come out.
Maybe one of what? Of Glat B'Sheisef. Yeah, what does Glat B'Sheisef mean? The B'Sheisef had a bigger chumrah. He was more stringent in Shirchus. Now, it doesn't mean, when it says Glat means it's smooth. That's a little type of Glat. It's smooth. Glat B'Sheisef means it's smooth, there's nothing there. Chalak. Smooth. So today, even the Glat B'Sheisefs are not totally clear without any surface. Not such thing today come out in any animal that it's totally clear of any surface. It's just... What? Yeah. No such thing as totally clear. They're more machmer on how thick it has to be in order to become a trefa. The thicker it is, the more of a reason it is that it's a trefa. So the thicker that sircha is, the more. So let's say it's a 1% thick. Even according to the Beishesef, it's good. When it goes 10% thick, let's say, that's called the Beishesef stops over there. The Ramah is more lenient, and let's say I'm giving you a number. He holds you have to have till 40%. Huh? Okay, come.
So with that leniency, what are the statistics with that leniency?
What, the Ramah?
Yeah.
So he says the difference between the Beishesef's glass and it's okay. There was the difference between the Beishesef's glass and the Ramah's glass. It says was 1 in 100.
No, but the Ramah's
out
of 100. Yes.
No, so we'll get to that. And of all the animals,
asking because before you said it's got custom.
Yeah, that's right. And all the animals.
How do you reconcile it?
Right.
Have more than 50%.
Correct. So out of all the animals, correct. So out of all the animals we shecht, even according to the Ramah, the Ramah's glat, the Ramah's surface, you only have around 40-50% of the animals that come out okay. That's even according to the Ramah. And out of those 40%, let's say, only 1 in 100 is Glat B'Sheisef. So that means from all the animals, they have Glat B'Sheisef. It's very hard to get Glat B'Sheisef. But Glat B'Sheisef does not mean that it's totally smooth. No such thing today. It means it's smoother, much smoother than the Ramah's surface. Now, how do you check that? We'll get to it in a second what we do today. Today, most of the animals in the check.
How can you call it Glat B'Sheisef?
No, so even according to the surface, because even according to the doesn't mean there's no surface at all. He's more machmer on the surface. When you can be lenient on the surface, when it's not called the surface. But that's not. No, we haven't changed what it means. But some people are under the impression that Glat B'Sheisef means there's no surface at all. But that's not true. There's no such thing as no surface at all. No such thing as no. Today's special. Today it got worse. Today the surface got even worse. Because when they feed the animals, the natural health of the animals, it got even worse. So there's no such thing today as an animal is totally glass. The Beishesef was machmir on what a circa is, and therefore it's much harder to find something that's kosher according to the Beishesef. Now, how do you check the animal? The way you check the animal is after the shechita, before you cut open the diaphragm. That's the way you have to do it. Before you cut open the diaphragm, the shechit cuts it open a little bit and sticks his hands in. Once you cut open the animal, so anyway, the lungs fall in and it detaches from the wall, so you can't check anymore for sirchas. So the only time you can check for a sircha is before you cut open the whole animal. I mean, you cut open a little bit, the shechit sticks his hands in, feels around the lungs, and when he's feeling around the lungs, he doesn't see anything. It's just feeling. So he's feeling, and he has to decide, the Baruch has to decide, when he's putting his hand through, how easy it is for his hand to cut through all the surface. If he feels it's a little bit harder, so he has to know exactly from the feeling of his hands how thick that circle was. So what happens is that we're relying, our animals today, we're relying on one Baruch.
You can't have a bad day.
He can't have a bad day. He has to be a real big Yerushalayim. You have to trust him. And when he feels through, he has to feel to make sure that whatever level it is of the sircha, that it's not past that level. And that's why today, when they check the animals, most of the animals that are geshachted today are said at treif. Because the Baidik puts happiness is not sure where it's holding, he'll say it's treif. So most of the animals today we check come out treif because of this chash.
Is that why a lot of people don't eat meat?
No. No. After the Baidik checks, maybe because they don't trust the Baidik. Yeah, maybe they don't trust the Baidik. Yeah, there's a lot of it's very hard.
Yeah.
Does this have to be done by hand?
It has to be done by hand. There's no other way of doing it.
Technology coming in.
No, technology won't work. As of now, they don't have the technology to do it. Because you have to make sure. MRIs, yeah, enough MRIs are going to help.
I just said,
I don't know,
like ultrasound or something.
No, but
They want to
setting
accept
a camera inside might be able to tell you, wow, I never thought.
It's probably not Kedai to make such a technology. It's easier just to stick your hand through.
It
And
costs a fortune.
anyway, if you would have something to give the animals to, then anachrami. If the guy wouldn't take the animals from us, then every time you pass a behemoth, it's a loss. Then maybe they'll come with it's money. It's
$50 extra on the pound.
But today, it's not a big difference. Today, it's not a big difference. Anyway, the guy takes all the animals from us.
Yeah. That used to be a big problem.
No, yeah. It used to be a big problem because they couldn't trust a boidik or a sheikhet, because if they shechted an animal and it was a treifa, then they lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
They couldn't sell it and go to the garbage. Today, we're more machmir. Means we have a way to be more machmir on the treifas, because anyway it's not a loss to us. You just give it to the goyim. That's
Back to my question before. So with those statistics.
yeah. I'm getting to it. I'm getting back to your question. Don't worry, don't forget about it. I got to it. Don't worry. So therefore, the boidik has to be a real Yerushalayim. Remember when I was in Cheder, I ever told us a story that to explain the Yerushalayim that you had to have a sheikhet had to have in those days. And a boidik, the sheikhet usually was the person who was boidik the animal, and he told us that there was once a city. I don't remember the details. I was a kid then, and he said there was once a city that the sheikhet on Shabbos was saying Shema. He was davening. He was saying Shema, and when it came to Kshatim Lo'oisal Yidacha for Yul Tzavos Be'necha, he went like this to touch the tefillin. Then after was Shabbos, and they fired him.
I heard it was a rub. Okay.
And they fired him. Not the Rav. That wasn't the Rav.
Well, I heard it was a rub.
And they fired the sheikhet. Why? Because a person who's not to the full extent of Yerushalayim, there isn't Chappah at Shabbos, and by mistake he touched the different Slach Lama. Slach Lama is even worse. He just fell for his tefillin. Such a person, they fired from the shechita, because you have to be a real Yerushalayim, because in order to do this. Focus, and you have to, no one's know the difference. A boidik puts his hand in, no one will ever know the difference. If he marks for the animals, and if he's a boidik and he's pasturing all the animals, the owner of the shlachah will say, listen, I don't want to anymore, I need somebody else. Right? If his job is on the line. You have to be a real Yerushalayim in order to be a boidik.
Boidik for this can be the same as the sheikhet.
Yeah, we used to have a sheikhet.
For the knife cannot be
Oh, somebody else checks the knife there. Checking the knife by the shechita is much more lenient. It's not as bad as this. Because checking the knife, you can see it. It's not one person. Here, no one's ever going to know what happened. So if it comes out today that most of the animals that we check, we say are no good.
What's so common today?
What, sheikhs?
Yeah.
Because the animals aren't healthy today. They feed them garbage and they pump them with stuff. And so now there's another thing that when we take milk from an animal, right? To milk an animal. Now, if the animal is a treifa, the milk that comes from the animal is also not good, not kosher. Milk that comes from an animal as a treifa is not kosher. So if you know an animal is a treifa, and you milk the animal, you're not allowed to drink that milk.
How can you know?
How can you know? Good question.
After YU, he doesn't drink milk because of that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to that in a second. So if you milk an animal, and the milk comes out, and they find out the animal's a treifa, you're not allowed to drink the milk because the animal's a treifa. You can't drink the milk. Same way you can't eat the meat from an animal that's a treifa. You're not allowed to drink the milk from an animal that's a treifa.
Eggs can have
eggs can have eggs from a chicken. Yeah. You can't have eggs if the animal's a treifa. You can't eat the eggs of the chicken. The master in chicken there's no problems because chicken there's no circus. Chickens The Messiah says there is no circle for the chicken. So the chickens, come out, all the chickens are kosher. You don't find that tray for the chickens.
But Mashiach comes going to be part anyway.
Huh?
Mashiach comes.
Yeah, right.
Chicken's part.
Chicken's part. It's that the fact that they made that in order that
Yeah. So the question is, if the bone is broken by the leg, by chicken leg, it's treifa, but we're not conscious of it. Yeah, some people have a chumrah. They walk the chickens before shechita to make sure. But that's a brisk chumrah. That they make the chickens walk before they shech them to make sure that the.
How about the will?
So that's the problem with it. When they do the kaparis,
everything dies.
That's a big problem. The kaparis is a big problem. A lot of people won't eat the chickens from the kaparis.
Of course, they swing them like
because they by the time they finish with the chickens.
Died on me.
Yeah.
He died on you? Did he go to wash them first? Or
No.
So when you milk an animal, you have to make sure that the animal's not a treifa. So how do we know today we're milking animals, we're drinking the milk? Who said the animal is a kosher animal? Who said it's not a treifa? Who said the animal that we're taking the milk from is not a treifa? So the answer is that there's a chazaka, a roiv, that most animals are not treifas, and therefore you would go also roiv. The law is
most of them are.
It wasn't me.
What did you say?
We're getting
Before that most of them are.
So today, so you have a roiv. The most animals are not treifas, Therefore, you're not to drink the milk of an animal, even if you don't know for sure that it's not a treifa. You can assume that the animal is not a treifa. The question is, today, when we're shechting animals, like it says, 60% of the animals were paskin and got treifas, so you lost the roiv. You don't have the roiv anymore. 60% of the animals have circus, and they're treifas, then how can you go ahead and kasher the milk, say the milk is kosher? What happened to the roiv? The roiv is not here anymore. That's a big kasher they ask. So he says to somebody that doesn't drink milk today because of that. I don't know. It's unheard of today. Someone shouldn't drink any milk because of this. That's a Heschel as a machmer. But so what's that?
I remember correctly, that's the story.
Yeah, I've heard that before. SHMOT. I know he doesn't because of this.
Right.
So this is a famous question. Everyone asks this question. The answer is that today when we go ahead and we're machmer and we don't every time the boy that put his hand through would say it's not good, is because we're not sure. That means really roiv of the animals today also are still not treifas. Roiv of the animals today, even though we won't take from the shechita only 35 or 40% of the animals, it doesn't mean that roiv of the animals, most of the animals are treifas. We're machmer. We go because we're not sure and we have what to do with them. Let's say we wouldn't have what to do with the animals. We wouldn't be going here to give it to them. We'd go ahead and we'd sit there and we'd paskin and we end up with saying that most of them are kosher. But since we don't have to worry about that, so we don't get involved in the problems of treifas in the circus because just give it to the goyim. But still, the roiv is still there.
So is that where the road came from many years ago, saying that they had to give it so they would make it on the...
On the chalav or on the behemoths?
On the behemoth.
No. Once you check the animal...
How did they come up with the road then?
No, because they checked...
It would have been the same back then.
Yeah, they checked that. Even today we know roiv are kosher. We're machmer, very machmer on surface. There's a cloud. The Gemara says...
Safek Doraisa.
Safek Doraisa. But the Gemara says that roiv animals are kosher. If roiv animals are kosher, that doesn't change today. The fact that we're machmer on surface...
Just in saying that the animals jump...
Even so, correct. Even so, even though today there's more circus than there used to be, there's still a roiv. There's still a roiv the animals are kosher. Even though we're walking away or we're shechting with only 30% of the animals, that's been a geya, the machmer, we pass over most of the animals. But that chumrah won't take out from the roiv.
In the cold countries, it's a bigger problem now. Here in Canada, in the winter, when it's very cold, it's a lot of problems because of they catch pneumonia. And
therefore they get
small. In the warmer countries, the percentage is higher. Don't have so many problems.
Don't have so many circus. Okay, they're very possible. But since it's different,
they check the one before. That's the second step.
That's something else. Yeah, they blow it up. See if they hold it. Yeah, that's the second step. It's not a circus. It's not a circus.
That's the first test.
Yeah, the first testing is a circus.
And then
so
you
that's
still have to check it a second test.
Correct.
Otherwise, we'll be kosher.
Right.
In the olden days, it's be kosher now.
Yeah. So that means even though we have a little bit of a steer here, that means when they get the meat, we're paskening that most of the animals are treifus. But still, we're drinking the milk because with Shemot, we rely that ripe animals are kosher. So we have a little steer here. But it's okay. You can still drink the milk. Don't worry about the steer. The steer is that even though we still have a ripe, the ripe animals are kosher. We still have a ripe, the ripe animals are kosher. That's what they say. I spoke to Rabbi about this Baruch a long time already, a few times. I asked him this question. Everyone said the same thing, that the ripe is still there. Because if you don't have the ripe, if let's say the animals today get very sick and most of the animals are really, really treifus, then you have to stop drinking milk.
So is that a claw that the Gemara says there's a ripe? He's never changing it?
No, the Metzias could change it. Metzias could change it. The Metzias could change it. We don't have enough to change the Metzias today. Even though we're passing most of the animals today, it doesn't mean that the vade treifus. It's a chumrah that it may be a treifa, and therefore we passel it. That chumrah we don't take to the milk, and the milk we drink, and the treifus we don't worry about.
Why is it the chumrah? Why is it not the suffix the rice?
It's not suffix because when you do the circus, if you be eye and you check into it and you work on it, you'll come out that most of the animals are kosher.
Right.
How can I check?
If you would have a way of checking the circus more, you take your time and take
people to be able to check.
Yeah, and you check it each one separately, carefully. You come out that most of them are okay.
It's like when they brought the chickens back in the olden days to the Lower East Side.
Right.
The chachma was for the rough to say it's kosher, not to say it's straight.
Straight, right.
Right. To say it's kosher means you really have to look at it.
Right, you have to look into it.
Have anything else.
Right, it's much easier to say straight than to say that it's kosher. Say it's kosher, you have to work on it. It's not kedai today for us in the Shlachleisen to go ahead and to waste time to make sure it's kosher because there's no hefsid. Just give it to the guy and it's finished. If there would be a hefsid, we lose a lot of money. If they would have to sit down and spend time, and there'll be maximum most of the animals. That's still the Metzias today.
They're pumping the lungs with the compressor.
Yeah.
And they don't pay attention too much. They don't control it. Just doing it fast. Used to be times in Israel used to pump it by the mouth to save the lung.
Yeah.
Because it's very expensive.
Here they pump it. They're talking to
and used to save a lot of them. Yes. 90% used to come out for.
And now they pass a lot of them for that reason. Because there's not such a hefsid today. But it doesn't mean that the Metzias changes that ripe animals are treifus today. That's not what it means. The Metzias still is ripe animals are not treifus. But we just don't take the time to work on them, to kasher them, to make sure they're kosher. This is what I was not getting into today. But the chinuch says over here that when the Torah says that it's eating a treifa, so the chinuch says something very interesting. It says like this: that the main law of this, not the main law, but from the outside, it looks like the law of this pasuk is not to eat a behemoth that's a treifa. I want to think of something else. It's also very important. There's a Ramah. The Ramah says in Hilchos Treifus that there used to be a way you should check the animal mechayim when it's alive to see if the animal is a treifa. Kind of way of checking it. Yeah. I could have mentioned it once.
Yeah.
I could have mentioned it once.
What was it?
Well, the Ramah says that there was a way of checking it. What was the way of checking it? Mechayim when it's still alive. And if you check it when it's still alive, you save yourself a lot of money. Because you check it when it's alive. If it's a treifa, you just don't check it. So what was the way? It says if you put your hand on the spine of the animal and you rub it down the spine of the animal, if the animal goes down, then it's a simon that it's not a treifa. If the animal stays standing, there's a simon that it's a treifa. Simon they have, the more brings down Shulchan Aruch, I think it's simon Lamed Gimel.
For all 18?
All 18. All treifas. For all treifas. You have a way of checking it mechayim to check if it's a treifa or not. He says today we don't do it because they're not really bikiyim in this bedika. You have to know how to do it. But they used to know how to do it. It brings down from the Rishonim, I think from the Orchos Chaim, I forgot where it brings down from. The Ramah brings it down, the Darkei Moshe, not the Ramah, sorry. The Darkei Moshe in the Torah brings it down. You used to rub the hands against the spine of the animal goes down, it's kosher. If it stays up, it's a simon that's a treifa. says why? He says because why do we eat a treifa? Because a treifa shows when an animal becomes treifa, it's a balgaiva. That means it holds itself strong. So when you rub your hand on the back of the animal, if it goes down, it shows it's makabel moris. It's accepting that it's subservient to you. But if it stands still, it's showing that it's not subservient. It's a balgaiva. So it says kol gvar leiv, the Eibusher doesn't want. So therefore, if it goes down, it shows that it's a subservient. Such an animal you can eat. But an animal that stays strong is a balgaiva. We don't eat balgaivas. Because whatever you eat affects you. And if you're a balgaiva, we don't eat that. That's what the Rama says. And that was a b'dika. They say, I never saw this inside, I heard this once, that the Shinava, there was once a sheikhet in a town where the Shinava lived, he was a kid, and the sheikhet, every animal he shechted was kosher. He shechted, he checked it, and it was kosher. They started being maharach, they didn't trust him anymore. Every animal he shecht was kosher, they thought he was lying. So they wanted to get rid of him. Like we said before, if you have to trust a sheikhet. But if most of his animals, or almost all the animals are all kosher, there's something wrong over here. So they wanted to fire him. He says, don't fire me, I'll tell you my trick. What was his trick? He says the Shinava was a kid then, a 7 or 8 year old kid. And he says the Shinava would go with him to the marketplace. And the Shinava could tell from the way an animal looked and the way he walked if it was a balgaiva or not. And if it was a balgaiva, he said that animal is a treifa, don't take him. And the Shinava could tell from the face of the animal if it was treif or not. That's what they said the story. Based on this Ramah. But that's what the Ramah says. And the reason why we don't eat treifis is for this reason. Because it affects you. And we're not balagaivas. I want to talk about the whole thing with even the whole Mafeshas PARSHA and the Malagera is also for the same reasoning. So again, that's a different time. But I want to speak of something else. The Chinuch says over here that the main pasuk is talking about eating a treifa, but then he says every pasuk is Divrei Torah, the drush from the Kamapon. Every pasuk, the Torah is a nidrash to Kedash. There's different parts to it. Yislapshu mebachutz lavush malchus sheish umeshi v'rekam Torah. The outside, the pasuk is dressed in silk and fancy clothing. Umipnim, and inside, yes zav v'rav pnim. And the inside of the pasuk, there's gold and there's treasures inside the pasuk. It says the outside of the pasuk is the issur of a treifa. You're not allowed to eat an animal that's a treifa. But in the inside, the Gemara dashins a lot more drashas from this pasuk. What are the drashas that the Gemara dashins? So it says over here, "Basar basar the treifa loisachelu." Basar basar the treifa means a basar meat that was basar that was outside. Not in the house, it was outside. You're not allowed to eat. So where does the Gemara dash from this? The Gemara dashes from this that an animal, kachim, an animal that's kodesh, meant to be shecht in the mizbeach, it's yotza chutzla mechitzasa. You shecht an animal, he took it out of Yerushalayim. You have to eat it only in Yerushalayim. He took it out of Yerushalayim. But he took it out of the Beis HaMikdash, Chach Kadashim. You're not allowed to eat it. Yotza chutzla mechitzasa. It goes out of its mechitzas. And then the Gemara says another case. A case of when you shecht an animal, I'd like to go into this a little bit. I know it's on the table in certain parts of the world. An animal that you shecht, and it has in it a fetus. It's called the ben pekua. It's called the ben pekua. An animal you shecht, and inside the animal there's a fetus. So the halacha is that fetus doesn't need shechita. The halacha is that fetus is allowed to go ahead. And without shechting it, you're allowed to eat it.
Can't even alive, you have to.
You have a different thing about shechtu. Same thing as fish. Fish, you're allowed to eat a fish alive, you're allowed to take a fish and eat it. As about the shechtu, we don't eat live fish. Fish doesn't need shechita. Same thing, a ben pekua, of a mother that's shechted, and there's a baby inside, and the baby gets out, and it walks, and it grows up. That animal, when it grows up, you don't have to shecht it. You can just hit it over the head, and you can eat it. Why? It's called a ben pekua. Because when you shechted the mother and the animal was inside, the shechita of the mother works for the child also. So it's just like it was shechted already. So it's a walking, talking mishkat. That's what it is. It's an animal walking around, but it has a din that it was shechted already, and therefore you're allowed to eat it. But halacha is that if the animal stuck out one of its hands or feet before Shechita, that's called Yotza Chutzon Lechitzasai. It went out of the mother's stomach already. That hand you can't eat. The rest of the animal you're allowed to eat. That hand, not just that, even if you shech the animal, it's not going to help. That hand you can't eat. Because Yotza Chutzon Lechitzasai. Ubasa Basar the Treifa, Loisechelu. The more Dashins, any meat that went outside, Chutzon Lechitzasai, you're not allowed to eat. That's what the Dash on this passage. I was going to speak a few minutes we have left about Ben Pekua, which I've heard that lately there's a lot tumbling about it, and there's certain concepts that are coming out that are mistakes. A Ben Pekua is, when you check the mother, the animal that comes out is mutter to eat it. Without shchita. The Maisa, if the animal, we pass it, if the animal walked on the ground, it started walking, then we don't eat it without a shchita. You don't eat it without shchita.
Was pumping and start walking?
Yeah, it's alive. It's alive. If it never walked, if it came out of the stomach and you killed it right away, then you don't eat shchita. It's like a piece of meat. But if it came out and it's walking and it grows up, then because of matters ayin, people are going to see you taking the animal, not shechting it, there's a din shchita. You have to shech the animal before you eat it. But even though it's a din shchita, one thing that we gain by Ben Pekua is all the dinei treifis that we have by an animal don't apply to Ben Pekua. I mean, circus in the lungs and all these things, you don't have to worry about it. It says shchita it needs, but more than that you don't need.
The mother had a treifa.
Yeah, if the mother was treifa, it's a problem.
Why is it better having a
No, if the mother's a treifa, you're right. But I said the mother's not a treifa.
The mother was shafted, that takes care of the baby.
Right.
The mother was a treifa,
No.
The baby's still okay with even...
No. If when you shafted the mother, you find out the mother's a treifa, you can't eat the baby.
Cannot eat the baby.
You cannot eat the baby. What I'm saying is the baby itself, when it grows up, and now you check that baby, for that baby you don't have to check for circus. Because that baby doesn't really need shchita. That baby is fine without shchita. But machmer, we say, atmaras ayin should do shchita. But just because of machmer to have shchita, you don't have to check all the circus. So therefore there's a person, I don't know which part of the world it is, that wants to start a Ben Pekua farm. He wants to start a farm that all the kids, he has a bunch of mothers, they have babies, he checks the mothers, the babies come out, and they mate with each other. So Allah is like this. One thing you have to know is a Ben Pekua, he doesn't need shchita. Now, let's say the Ben Pekua is a female, right? And it has a child. Does that child need shchita?
No.
So the halacha is, if the father of the child, the one that this Ben Pekua mated with, was also a Ben Pekua, so both parents are Ben Pekua, so the kid has a din of a Ben Pekua, doesn't need shchita. Also doesn't need shchita. So if you have a bunch of Ben Pekuas, you have a whole farm of just Ben Pekuas, what's going to end up happening is, all those animals don't need shchita. So you have a whole farm that you'll do shchita on them, but you save yourself all the problems of treifas, and you'll have 100%, what's called again, production. 100% of your production will be kosher. Right? So then they're okay. But the problem is, if let's say animal gets in that's not a Ben Pekua, then it's a problem. The halacha is that if the mother's a Ben Pekua and the father's not a Ben Pekua, and they have a child, the halacha is not just does it need shchita won't help for it. You cannot be matter with shchita. And the reason is because we look at this animal that chatzi simonim nishchat. You look at like half of its simonim are already like it was geshacht in a way, because from the mother it doesn't need shchita. From the father it needs shchita. So we look at like half of the simonim are nishchat. You can't do half a shchita. You can't do half a shchita. That's halacha. That's halacha by if one is a Ben Pekua, one not. But then if they're all Ben Pekuas, then you're okay. The kids that come out don't need shchita. Now, I've heard that someone says that doesn't need shchita, but the meat is mutter with cholov, and this is not true. These things aren't true. The only thing you gain from Ben Pekua is that if you do shchita on it, you don't have to check for circus. And there's one other gain. There's a big machlokes that if you check the mother and there's a child that comes out, it's a Ben Pekua, doesn't need shchita. There's a machlokes who's showing them if the gid hanosha is mutter. the Gid Anosha is us. You're not allowed to eat the Gid Anosha. The sciatic nerve of an animal, you're not allowed to eat it. It's also to eat it. If you check the mother, and there's a baby inside, so this baby we look at as a piece of meat. So maybe the Gid Hanosha of that animal is mutter. Now we know today, there's a whole back of the animal we don't go near. Why? Because there's a Gid Hanosha, there's that sciatic nerve. Now, what's also and what's mutter midrabanan is very complicated, and there's even small nerve ends that come out, maybe also midrabanan, and it's very hard to clean that out of the back part of the animal. Therefore, the back part of the animal we don't go near. So, l'maisa, the Gid Hanosha of a ben pekua, we say you shouldn't eat it. We don't eat it, but it's only nisa d'Rabbanan. It's only nisa d'Rabbanan. We're not to eat it. So therefore, if you have an animal that's a ben pekua, there's a Gid Hanosha, to take out the daraisa is very easy to take out. This is on machmer not to eat the Gid Hanosha of ben pekua, but only machmer what's in nisa daraisa. What's in nisa d'Rabbanan, all the other parts that come out, we're not machmer on. So you have another game. The other game is that the back of the animal you could use. Just take out the Gid Hanosha, it's for sure daraisa, and the rest you don't have to worry about it, because the whole Gid Hanosha by ben pekua is only a din d'Rabbanan. That's another game they have. There's a big tumult I know out there in the world. Someone's trying a ben pekua farm. A lot of places are against it. It's called a ben pekua farm. That's what it's called, yeah.
It's a business. It's a business. Get away from the shechita.
Nothing wrong.
No, he's doing what to get away from.
There's nothing wrong with that. But everyone agrees.
There's plenty of issues that we say don't. You can't do it.
No, I'm doing it because I don't want to have problems with circus. I want it 100% glatt beses of meat. It's hard for me to get it. I have a ben pekua farm. Everything is fine.
Saying it's like something like in the bottom of
no, it's not even about no. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
We've had other issues.
There's nothing wrong. In the concept,
purposely go out and do that.
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. In the concept, there's nothing wrong with creating a ben pekua farm. You have to make sure it's done correctly. The ones that are coming out against the person who's doing it today, I think it's because he has certain things that he's not doing correctly. It means you have to make sure. I think he's relying on DNA maybe to make sure that it's a ben pekua. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know the exact details, but I know that there's a whole tumult today because someone's selling a ben pekua farm, and a lot of persons came in against it. But the only reason why they came in against it is because he may not be doing it correctly. If it's done correctly, then it's very good. It's a good zach.